Well, hello again. The purpose of this video is to show how you can get results like these using our newly formulated proprietary flame gel patina. Flame could be put over polished bare metal or over metal that is first treated with copper FX. To start off with, please note that we've got two buckets in front of us. Each is labeled. On the left is our proprietary copper FX liquid solution. And on the other side is clean water, which we use as a neutralizer. Here I have some mild steel that I've cleaned up a little bit with a 120 flap disc. And what we're going to do is to demonstrate the new flame gel patina. I see there's a little grinder dust on it still, so I'll swish it around in some water. And then blow off a little bit of the excess. At this point, my sheet of steel is still a little damp. That's okay. I'm going to dip it into the copper FX and then right back into the water to neutralize the copper immersion process. We don't want any flash rush to start, so let's completely dry it this time. This is the new Flame FX gel that you're looking at. I want to show you the consistency of the product, the gel product, by pouring it into an empty cup. You can see what this stuff looks like. I think I've seen little kids play with goo like this. Anyway, you can see how it pours, you can see the viscosity, you see the texture, and it's a gel. As I put it back into the original cup, you'll notice that the gel, that the consistency or viscosity doesn't change just because I pour it from one container to another. It's pretty consistent, pretty stable stuff. So here's my piece of steel. We plated this with copper FX a minute ago. Now there are a lot of ways that we can apply the gel to our copper. The most common way to apply the gel is to just dab it on and then spread it with brush strokes. It immediately starts changing color. I can spread it different ways. I can spread it with air or a brush or whatever. You can take a look at what I'm going to do here and see what it does. Again, it immediately, as the chemical gets on different parts of the copper FX, it immediately starts changing color. The longer it sits there, the darker it'll get. When we're happy with the result, we can stop the action simply by washing it off. Now this differs from the regular patinas because we don't just wash it off. We have to actually rub off the gel to get it stopped. You won't rub off any color by rubbing off the gel, so you can have at it. You can see here what we've ended up with, and that's after rubbing off the gel. It's still wet. Now it doesn't matter if it stays wet. I want to show you something else I've done. Actually, I'll put it on the other side of this, I think. It's just a different technique, a different way of moving the gel around. So here's my blob of gel, and this time I'm going to use a very light blast of air, and it'll move all over. You can go to different angles and have it move different directions and so forth. It's very interesting, the results that you get from this. I'm just letting the air push the gel around and let it take whatever form it wants. Creates different textures and different colors, different looks. The longer it stays on, remember, the darker it'll get. So I'll just neutralize the gel now in water, and I'll rub the old gel off. Sorry you're not seeing this, but I'm just rubbing the gel off, and you'll see that it doesn't rub any of the color off, and you'll see what we got, what we were left with. So you can see that we've got some different patterns, some interesting patterns to say the least. Not that it's good or bad or anything else, it's just different than what we can get with the with our regular patinas. One of the things that you can do with this gel is you can add to it. You can darken spots if you want to do that. I think you can see what's going on here. And now with this gel product, I can use any kind of applicator, in this case a little stick, and I've got the gel in specific areas. I can control exactly where it goes. It's similar, gives me similar results to the Torch FX, but I can control it differently. I can keep it within very specific confines. So I can wash off my copper now. Wash the gel off of the copper, leaving the color there. Again, remember, I can't remove the color just because I removed the gel. Sorry that you can't see what I'm doing. It's a new camera. I need to do a little learning. So here's something pretty cool. The Flame Gel. Unlike the Torch FX, the Flame Gel will work on plain steel. You'll be able to see what we do here. Again, I'm dabbing some on, and I'll spread it around with my brush. The more you continue to move it around, the more depth you'll get, the more interesting the patterns will become. The brush strokes are showing how the overlay of the gels on top of one another look different. We're going to wash it off now and see what kind of patterns we've produced. I don't know how well you can see that in the light, but there's some mauves and purples and blues and some very interesting patterns that just emerged from what we did. Now we'll dab on a little bit more. Now as we move the chemicals around to stay within the confines of what we put on there, as I put new chemical on that steel, it will become even darker. As the fresh chemical touches the steel, I should say. Now keep in mind, just like with the copper piece, the longer you leave it in one spot, the darker it'll get. So as I move this around, I'm leaving the basic spot where I started intact. Now you can move it around with a little bit of air just for fun, see what it'll do. Remember, we're on steel, so you've seen. I'll neutralize this now. See what kind of result we get. Remember, this is with one product. This is Flame Gel, and I showed you the copper earlier, and now the steel, and it's one product. As we moved around the chemical, it had a tendency to marbleize. You can see that. Well, maybe you can't see it, but that's what it is. That's what's happened here. So we produced these colors on both copper and on plain steel with one product. So let's try this. Let's compare the copper and the steel side by side. I'll do that by dipping this piece of steel into the copper immersion, and I'll only put 50% of it in there. Wash it off, neutralize it. So now we've got copper on the left side, and it's just plain steel on the right side. So what we'll do this time is to take a little bit of the flame and put it on both the copper and the steel and see what the differences are. So why don't we neutralize that now and see what kind of result we're going to get. So what we've got here is our copper on one side, steel on the other, the gel flame, our FX proprietary product, and you can see the variations in colors and how they've remember that the longer you leave it on, the darker it'll get. The newly formulated Flame Gel is available exclusively from Steel FX. It's available today and comes in 16-ounce glass tubs. If you want your steel to have colors like these, you need to order today. If you have any questions, call me directly. 800-710-1273. I not only guarantee great products, I guarantee great service. I'm Bill Warden, and you have my word on it.